race talk from Texas. It's the Revved Up Sports Show. Here's Bobby Chaffee and Rodney Rodriguez.
Well, hello, everybody. Welcome to everybody's favorite Monday night show, the original, the one that started it all. This is indeed the Revved Up Sports Show from Texas. Showtime, Bobby Chaffee right here, the Iceman, Rodney Rodriguez right there.
Hey, friends, how we doing?
Tried to time it a little better with the intro this time.
Monday, it's all right. Actually, the wrong intro that I was looking for, but that's okay. We'll get that figured out. Dude, it's hot as fuck.
It is incredibly hot outside.
Oh my God!
I cooked. I really did cook there on the grate there at Texana. It was pretty rough. So
it gets really frustrating at this point where when you want to. So I had to. So my everything I had to do today. Had to go out. I had to do some stuff in the morning. Then I had to get back home. Then I had to go pick up groceries. And dude, I was sweating my ass off by the time that I got back. And it's like. All I'm doing is trying to get bags out of the car. That's horrible. That's horrible. I hate that.
You had swamp ass from grocery shopping?
Yeah, I did.
Golly,
no, I didn't even shop. All I had to do was go get it.
Oh, just pick it up. Okay.
I just picked it up. They loaded it, but I had to get it in the house, and it's like, oh my God. I mean, it's horrible, and whatever. It's only going to get worse. It's only going to get worse. So they say.
That's what they're saying. Of course, the Farmer's Almanac. If you read the,
I do.
The procrastinated
it's on my desk.
That Farmer's Almanac, it's supposed to get cold, but problem is we got to wait another 3 to 6 months for it to get here.
Mm-hmm. Hey, good show tonight, guys. Stevie Whitaker III checking in here in about just over 10 minutes. Justin Zimmerman, big winner this weekend in the non-wing sprints. And then Shelby Williams is going to check in as well. So we've got plenty to talk about as we dive in right here on RUSS. It is hashtag Real Race Talk. Bobby, I did want to ask, I posted this the other day because speaking of weather, one thing that I get kind of worried about, I don't know if it's really a concern or anything at this point, is when we start talking about, because I know like at my house, they're telling me you can't water the yard one time a week or whatever. For dirt tracks with water. I mean, do we have a problem here? Is this something? I saw one of the tracks up north where I guess they primarily pump out of a tank that's right next to the track. I mean, is this something we need to worry about? Is this going to be a problem here at some point?
I don't know. I was thinking about that the other day. Most of the tracks have a tank very near them. I don't know about Texana. Texana's got a tank behind there, but I don't think that's the Texana tank. I know that they use a lot of the water trucks there from Magnum, obviously, from Magnum Services. So those, I don't know where they get the water for those, but obviously the Cotton Bowl one is there's a tank right there towards the end of the pits. And I'm like you. I mean, if the tank is dry, I don't know where Cotton Bowl's going to get any water because there's not anything for a hot minute around there. So I don't know how they're going to end up getting water. So
and I see right there was I guess Grayson County. I'm not sure where it was, but that's one thing that does kind of worry me when I start looking at this stuff. And it's like when you have a racetrack that is reliant on water and you have all of this stuff that's going on, I don't see any relief. And I am impressed that I see a lot of racetracks that start adjusting start times and all of that, because I think that's so important. And as much as we want to have people come into the racetrack, this is where we go back to the streaming thing. It's like, hell, personally, I mean, I think I may stay at home.
A little cooler.
And that's the one thing that you have to look at right there to where it does. I mean, it gets to be one of those situations to where you have to start worrying about, is that going to be a factor? Because it'd be one thing. It'd be one thing if we had some hope in the future that things are going to cool off. But dude, I know in Austin, I mean, my local TV stations are in Austin, and they're telling me Friday 109.
Yeah.
What in the fuck is that?
That's rough. I mean, it's not any better for Saturday. I think 107 on Saturday, I think, is what it's supposed to be.
I know.
So it's going out to the racetrack. I mean, it's diehards, right? But you notice that the people are not getting there as early as they once were. Maybe Waco's a little different. Waco's a little different, but
some bitches they show up. It's like gates. We're pushing the gates to 6:30 instead of 6, and they're there at 5:30.
Still there at 5:45. Yeah, 5:30.
Whatever.
Yeah.
I mean, that's a good problem to have.
But I noticed a lot of people there at Texana over the weekend. They didn't show up till right at 7. I mean, they don't give a damn about packing the track. They don't give a damn about the hot laps and none of that stuff. They only give a damn about watching the racing, which was done, at a fairly consistent hour, despite a couple of hiccups there from the trucks. But overall, trucks put on a well of a show, especially there at the finish. Did you get to see the end of that?
No, I didn't. And I do want to ask you about that, because that's one of the things. I know that we've talked to those guys here on the show before, and we need to get them back on here pretty quick to do some more discussion. But it really seems like, I know when they started that it was a struggle there, because they were kind of trying to dig in and try to get some of the asphalt trucks and do all this other shit that whatever. But it really does seem like they have hit on something right now. It's a very distinct thing. And I mean, I think that's something in racing to me that's super important, where you do something that's different nobody else is doing. I mean, we see all the stock cars. We see, limited modifieds and modifieds, and on pavement, all the fucking stock classes look alike. I think it's pretty cool that they're doing something pretty different, and I think they've hit on something here to where it's something really cool that they're doing with the Texas Dirt Truck Series.
Well, it's good. The only observation I have is there's a big difference between the haves and have-nots in that series. The top half guys were really great, really competitive. You had one or two that hit the setup right, like Tommy, and was just gone, right?
Yeah.
Then you had 6 or 7 trucks all right together, all running the same speed, even up to probably 10th. You get a little further back, some of them were considerably off the pace. I'm talking 3-4 laps down within like halfway kind of deal.
Okay.
So there's kind of a discrepancy there between the have and have-nots. But, I mean, hell, they brought the trucks. 20 pre-registered and 18 showed up. So they got some kind of formula that's working right, or else they wouldn't get 20 cars.
Yeah,
or 20 trucks.
No doubt. And I do want to touch on that, because that's one thing. So Saturday I was home. And I was sitting there on Race On, just kind of checking everything out, and I made a list. And for folks that ask about, how's racing in Texas, this is a list, and I'm probably missing a track or two here, but here we go, because I have to read it, because there were so many. So Saturday night, I watched y'all, Texana.
Yeah.
I watched 37. I watched 105, Devil's Bowl, Kennedale, 105, Grayson County, Arklatex, Super B, and Rocket.
Well, you watched Rocket for a little bit till the lights went out.
Oh man!
God, that sucked.
Oh man!
I'd be so pissed if I was to stare over there.
That really sucks right there that happened to them. And I saw some people, jumping on there. It's like, so what happens here? It's like some things are out of your control. I mean, when you get into when they talk about acts of God. It's like you can't control what happens with all of that, and yeah, that sucks. I mean, that really sucks for them, because it looked like they were locked and loaded and jammed and ready to go, and damn, just didn't work out for them. Man.
Yeah, at the beginning of the season, they had a bunch of rainouts along with our buddy KR up there, but man, now that they got their program rocking and rolling up at Rocket, I mean, that's a good solid swift kick in the nuts with that. I mean, and that for everybody, the fans, the track, the teams that traveled. I mean. There were some teams with those junior limiteds that came from a hot minute away to race at Rocket, and then just literally just get kicked in the nuts, and boom, there goes your racing program for the night.
And that's one of those things to where you can't fault the racetrack, you can't fault anyone involved right there, because you just can't control that stuff. And I mean, I remember being a kid, and we'd sit at Longhorn or Speedorama, whatever you want to call it. We'd go to San Antonio, and the lights would just shut off, and it's like, okay, what do you do now? And I got to tell you,
send Greg Davidson up a telephone pole. That's how they solved it. That's how they solved it on TIDA nights.
Well, and the bad thing is, I mean, because you get into those things, and it gets so hard. It gets so hard to and a lot of that. I mean, I don't know what the problem is there. We'd have to talk to Kevin S. to figure out exactly what happened there. I mean, that may be something that comes into the heat. I mean, it's you got to think about this. I mean, I was talking to someone the other day, and it's like, you think about these racetracks. I know the last time I was up with Owen there it's at the race ranch, we were talking about different things happening in the press box, and it's like, this stuff is just sitting out here melting during the week. the heat does not lit up. I mean, that's just another obstacle here that these folks have to get around, because I mean, you can't subsidize that. You can't deal with that. I mean, that there's no way to beat the heat, and these racetracks just sitting out there. I mean, how do you deal with that? I mean, like for the track there, having to deal with the tank and all this other stuff. And I seriously am concerned. What I was talking about earlier, because at some point, I think that may be an issue to where it's like, you can't be sitting over here with all this water. People are going to need this water, and I'm not making light of that, because I totally get that. But people need light. People need water. People need all that shit. And I just think that at some point, municipalities...
The racetrack will be the first one to suffer on something like that. The racetrack is always the first thing.
Of course it is. And that's a whole thing right there. It's like...
Wait till a Karen can't water her grass and she finds out that they dump 30,000 gallons of water on a racetrack to get it ready for a race night. She's going to lose her shit.
That's the whole thing. You guys, you racetrack promoters, don't be telling people how many gallons of water you put on your racetrack, because that's not something that the HOA, or like he said, the Karens, that's not something they need to know, because they're going to see that shit and they're going to shut your ass down. So just say, we've been working hard.
Yeah. Don't say how many gallons you put, because we know. I mean, the racing people that are aware will be aware of how many. The problem is what it comes down to. They usually only talk about how many gallons of water they put on it when people bitch about it being too dry. Well, we put 30,000 gallons on. We put 40,000 gallons on. Well, I mean, what more can we do, It's like that. That's when they start talking about how many gallons they put on. People bitched about it being too dry. Wake up, people. It's 110 degrees. This shit's going to get dry. It's dirt.
Well,
that's what's going to happen.
And this is where I go back to, this is where I applaud the folks that are doing this work, because like I've always said, the best dirt track operator is a good farmer. And that's really what you have to do. And I was actually you should have heard me the other day. So somebody was asking me, it's like, so what's it all about with a dirt track? You just put some water on it and do whatever. I'm like, no. You got to saturate this thing. You got to get in there, and you got to do it during the week. And I'm not helping the matter any, because I'm saying you got to start like on Monday. If you're racing on Saturday, you start on Monday and you start doing whatever. But it really is a science. But I do have to say, because watching all those races that I'm talking about, that whole fucking list of shit that I was reading off right there, I didn't see a whole lot of racetracks right there that were dusty and doing, and they're going to rut up and all this stuff. Quite frankly, I hope they rut up. I mean, to me, that makes the racing better. Like watching the other day, watching the King of the Hill, when everything was all glossy and all that. I'm sure it was rough and whatever, but to me that looked like pavement. But when you get out there and the shit's diving in there and the right front's digging in and doing all this, to me that's better racing. I mean, you want slick and smooth, go race on the pavement.
Well, it's called character, is what a lot of the guys in Victory Lane will describe it as character.
That's it.
Yeah, I mean, I think it adds, when you're able to come through and add different lines and sometimes force the drivers to take different lines. You don't want them catfishing the whole time, but you don't want them up against the wall all the time. You want them in the middle because they want to slice and dice and all that. That's why people claim dirt track racing is so fun. You get somebody on the top lane, get somebody in the low lane, get somebody in the middle lane. Hell, they went 4 wide in the trucks off of turn 2, and hell, look what happened.
I do want to tell you one thing that I noticed that I've noticed in pavement racing is that even on the NASCAR thing, and we saw it yesterday, and we don't have to sit in here, but I do want to say, how about that Texan winning again today, bitches? How about that? The one thing I do want to say is, when you see all this stuff happening on the NASCAR series and some of these races, these guys trying to do sliders and do all these different things, dirt track effect, man. It's like when folks want to frown on NASCAR, it's like, man, fuck them and all this other stuff. It's like they're racing like we do around on the dirt tracks. I mean, who would have ever thought we just said that like us?
I don't know. Well, you're on like F-bomb number 7 or 8 right now.
That's okay. We can do whatever we want.
I know we can. We're not FCC regulated.
I'll calm down.
I'm not telling you to calm down. I'm just noticing it today.
It's this Gary Ballou cap that I have on my head.
It's got to be.
It's a Gary Ballou cap.
He's the only one that's dropped more F-bombs on this show than you have.
Gary Ballou. That's the best thing at Snowball. Like I said, I posted on Facebook a while back. When I ran into him during the rain delay, and he's like, "Hey, effing Rodney, come over here." I'm like, "Hey, how about that?" He called me effing Rodney. That's pretty cool.
Yeah.
That is pretty cool. But diving in, we're going to have a whole lot of fun on this show, talking to some really cool folks. And I got to tell you, one of the first guests that we're going to talk to.
Highly